Good morning and welcome to our webinar about business writing, level B1. Today we're going to talk about how to write a business email. Important and most of all, we have to keep in mind formal versus informal. For example, let's talk about emails. Emails have replaced letters, which tend to be formal in style. As you know, we use less and less letters nowadays. We tend to use more emails because they are more quicker and also because they are faster to receive. So emails cover a wide range of purposes, from everyday matters, like, for example, making or modifying, canceling arrangements for meetings, or any day-to-day affairs that you have with your external contacts and clients. Now, very important about emails is how you begin and how you end your email, which can be both formal or informal. Here, I've made a little chart of the different ways that you can actually begin and end your email. For example, if you begin your email with hello, the best way to end it would be best regards, and this is quite informal. You will use this with people that you already know and with other, for example, clients on which you have a personal day-to-day basis relationship with. Then you have Dear Mr., Miss, and Mrs., and kind regards. This is quite formal. Actually, here, after the Dear Mr., you usually have to put the surname. So it is quite formal. You will use this with new clients or with people that have, for example, an upper level management or bosses. Then you have Dear Jose and Best. This is very informal. Just to make you note that nowadays, if you use first names, it does not necessarily imply that this is a more informal greeting. Because in many companies, for example, they use this dear with the first name, even if they want to give an informal, for example, a more formal message to the employees. Then you have Dear All and Regards. This can be used both in a formal and informal way. Also because sometimes you don't know exactly who you have to address the email to. Then you have Dear Colleagues and Best Wishes. This is very informal. This can be done also, for example, in office when someone wants to get through to all the employees. And obviously you know them already, so Dear Colleagues can be a very good beginning. Then you have Hi Anna and Take Care. This is very informal. This you would probably send to one of your family members or to one of your close friends. Let's now pass on to the body of the mail. Here also, there are different ways of initiating and responding to an email. So we have both the difference between formal or neutral and informal. Let's start with the formal and neutral. You can actually begin by saying, I'm writing with reference to, I'm writing to inform you that, this is to confirm that, and thank you for your mail concerning. So here you're making reference to a previous email or to some other letter that was sent to you beforehand. If we want to be more informal, we can say, this is to let you know that, and thanks for your mail about. Now, when we have to ask for information and we want an action, a specific action to be taken, these are the sentences that we can say. In the formal way, I would be grateful if you could confirm the date of the next meeting, for example, or please forward your comments on the report by next Wednesday. You can say this in a more informal way by saying, please let me know when the next meeting will be, or can you send me your comments ASAP? ASAP, I'm sure most of you have already heard about this. It means as soon as possible. It's very common to use this in informal emails and maybe also text messages. So you will see this quite often. Then we have, for example, making and canceling arrangements, both in the formal and informal ways. If we talk about formal, We can say, the next group meeting will be held on November 12th. Please confirm your attendance using the attached form. Or, unfortunately, I can't attend the team training as I will be in London. So these are, let's say, different formal ways of saying that you cannot or you can arrange a specific meeting. Whereas in the informal way, you can say, the next group meeting will be on November 12th. Please let me know, and here we find again ASAP, if you intend to come. I'm afraid I can't come to the training session as I'll be absent. Please note that when we're talking in the informal language, we often use contractions. So you will see here, for example, I'm afraid I can't and I'll. In talking in the most or the more informal way, usually contractions are not carried out. So, for example, unfortunately, I can't, but you can also say, I cannot attend the meeting as I will be in London. So these are different ways you can keep in mind to make an email more formal or informal. If you want to make them informal, you can contract. If you want to make them formal, do not contract. Now, these are some of the most important tips and a checklist for writing effective emails. Let's look at them one by one. Okay, first, you have to choose a clear title. If you write an email and you want it to be read and attention given to it, you have to choose a clear title. If you do not write a title or you're not clear enough, the risk will be that the person that will read the mail will probably not read it or put it in the spam. The next one, you begin and end with an appropriate salutation and a closing. So, for example, when we said before, dear Mr. John, and best regards should always be the correct way of beginning and ending an email. Secondly, adapt your style according to your relationship with the addressee. Of course, you are not going to say hi to a boss or to top management. You will probably say, dear Mr. blah, blah, blah. So remember that your style has to reflect who you are going to send the email to. Then you have to introduce the main point early in the mail. Don't introduce it at the end when the people that are reading the mail have already gotten tired and don't understand what you're talking about. Introduce it right away at the beginning of the mail, maybe after the salutation, so that people know what you want or what you're referring to. Use polite and clear language. Always be polite, also because being polite usually gets the message across in a nicer way, and people are emphatic to polite language, especially when it's clear, so that people also understand what exactly you are talking about. Be brief. Nobody has time to read 3 or 4 pages of emails. You should be brief and to the point so that people understand right away what you're talking about and where you want to go. If you have 2 or 3 pages and 2 long emails, people generally will not read them or will not read all of the pages. Use attachments if longer texts are needed. Here, in this case, it's a good advice. For example, if you have long attachments, enclosures, or documents, contracts that you want to enclose to the email, do not put them on the same email that you're talking about or introducing the item to, but put them as an attachment so that people have the time to go back and read them when they have more time. Also, you have to specify the required action clearly at the end of the mail, giving a deadline if necessary. We all need people to give us a feedback or a comment on our emails. Usually, if you ask, for example, to give you a reply within a certain date, it's a good way of making sure that they have read your email, understood it, and that they will take action to it. Reread your mail to check the main points and correct any errors. Usually, when we are writing emails, we're always rushing. Now, the important thing is that we have time to go back, reread our email, and check that we have, for example, corrected the grammatical errors, any punctuation marks, or that the email is clear and understandable. You can use the spelling grammar checker if necessary. If, for example, you're writing an email in English language and you're not sure about the spelling, the vocabulary that you're writing, do use the spelling grammar check. It's not a big deal, and it ensures that the email is obviously more comprehensible and correct. Be tolerant of others' differences in styles and mastery of English. If you are receiving an email from a person that is non-native English and he's trying to communicate in English, let's be tolerant. We shouldn't judge them too severely, also because it's a general problem. So we could find ourselves in the same situation. Okay, now we've looked at the do's, let's look at the don'ts. These are also quite important for effective emails, and we should always check them before sending the email at the end of the day. So, for example, do not be too formal or over familiar, okay? If you are writing to your boss, for example, and you're saying hello, it's not really very polite. The same thing if you're talking to a colleague and you address him as dear Mr., it's not really correct because you know him on a day-to-day basis and you can use less formal language. Okay, don't bury key points. But sometimes when emails are quite long, what you want to make sure is that the important things stick out. So what you can do is you'd use bullet points. In this case, the key points will stick out right away from the email and you will be able to identify them. Write more than the essential. As we said, one of the things on the do side was be concise and brief. Also here, write more than the essential is not really correct in an email. You should kind of concentrate exactly what you want to say. Do not use ambiguous wording which could be misunderstood or cause offense. In this case, be very specific and clear with words. Also use simple words. Do not attempt to use complicated language which may be misunderstood by the other person and cause offense. Okay, the last point, flame. Flame means that usually when someone is very angry about something, the first reaction is to write an email which probably reflects this anger and is probably not very diplomatic. So the advice is to maybe let your anger dissipate or maybe wait 1 or 2 days before you write an email. And let's say you have pondered your words and your language more carefully. Okay, so now what we can do together is maybe try an exercise to see how things go. These are exercises which give you an idea of how you can write a sentence in an email. So let's start with the first one. To confirm details of my next visit to your office. Okay, I am writing to confirm details of my next visit to your office. Number 2. No, we are considering moving to another city. As you know, we are considering moving to another city. Very good. Number 3. This is to that the goods have arrived. Good. This is to confirm that the goods have arrived. I have attached the product details in PDF format. Number 4, attached or enclosed. You can use both words. Number 5, thank you for your mail, the forthcoming meeting. Concerning, good. Thank you for your mail concerning the forthcoming meeting. Number 6. I won't be able to come to the dinner next week. Unfortunately, I won't be able to come to the dinner next week. Good. Number 7. I would be if you could send me your annual report. I would be grateful if you could send me your annual report. Number 8. Please, your comments on the report by next week. Good. Please forward your comments on the report by next week. Excellent. Okay, number 9. This is to know that I will be absent next week. This is to let you know that I will be absent next week. Okay, perfect. And the last one, I will not be able to meet the original deadline. I'm afraid I will not be able to meet the original deadline. Okay, good. This exercise will help you to see some of the vocabulary that you can use in writing sentences, mainly in more formal style. And we are at the end of our webinar. I really hope that this webinar helped you a little bit with with giving you ideas and methods on how to write correct business emails. And I hope to see you again on our next webinar. Thank you and have a lovely day. Bye-bye.